Good day and greetings from the Great White North. My name is Prickly Poo and welcome to day 209 of a year of change. I was going to say 100 and something. We're going to go backtrack a little bit today. This is always the way this happens. When we were looking at fat a few weeks ago, I had a really hard time trying to find a really good documentary on fat. I'm not sure what it was. I just obviously not searching properly. But now that we've started in on sugar, we've got a couple of good documentaries on those. And lo and behold, I find one on fat. And it's a really good one, too. It touches on all the stuff that we were talking about before and introduces some new information as well. And more importantly, in something that we probably could have used 6 weeks ago when we first started doing this, it actually shows what happens when you cut diet from fat from diet. But, well, Yoda. It shows what happens when you cut fat out of your diet completely. It's not pleasant at all. They have a group of people that do it for a week in this. And they do let them know ahead of time, this is not something that we recommend, but this is an experiment. Or I think they tell them afterwards. Yeah. Anyway. This is one of those things that really would have been helpful a couple of weeks ago when we were just sort of in the middle of everything, just to sort of drive home that point, not to worry about fat-free stuff and, just even if you're trying to avoid the sugar part of it, just buying stuff that has zero fat in it or, in this case, they ate everything that was 1% or below. They couldn't go beyond 1% fat for anything that they had for a week. And it does show, a lot of the issues that they had with it. It's not, they didn't die or anything, so you're okay there. Just always hungry, tired, feeling bloated, stuff like that. Just because your body's trying to sort of make up for the fact that it doesn't have that fat in your diet. And it does show how fat is formed, and, there's a whole slew of stuff. I really wish that this had sort of gone back, a week, or no, more than that, 2-3 weeks. Actually, it probably would have been better to do this at the very, very beginning of when we were looking at fat. I think there's a lot of information there that we now know, but it's nice to see a practical aspect to it as well. They talk about saturated fats and unsaturated fats and omega-3s and all the other stuff that we talked about before. And it's actually presented by a doctor who originally she goes in, she has an MRI, she sees, how much fat is in her body, and just sort of brings it out that way. I don't know what I'm trying to say. But one thing they do talk about, and it's something that I'm sure at some point I have brought information to these videos that is now incorrect. One way or the other, not necessarily incorrect, maybe, but it's been adjusted, or it could be just flat out wrong. But they do show how, we did talk about how saturated fats are sort of, generally speaking, there's the healthy fats and the unhealthy fats. And now, of course, they're looking at new evidence that's saying not all saturated fats are bad. Those can get divided up again. And some are healthy, some are unhealthy. So information's always changing that way. So we may be looking at stuff now, even during this video today, that is going to end up being found to be, it's not quite that, a few years down the road. So it's always good to keep getting more information because that information is going to change. And one of these is, dairy. There's a lot of sort of hate towards dairy at this point where people are saying, and we did talk about that. That was part of the saturated fat thing. Basically, any animal sources in general are the saturated fats and plant sources are the unsaturated fats. And then you have the fish, which is totally different. Which apparently is a plant. There we go. There's new information. Fish are plants. They aren't. Anyway, but now they're looking at it saying, there are still some sources that are unhealthy. You can still eat them, obviously, in moderation. We've been eating them for thousands of years, so we should be fine. Millions of years. Depending on when the domesticated pig came into play. I'm going to say, anyway, I don't know. But they're also saying things that they're looking at it going, dairy products aren't necessarily bad. There is some evidence showing that, although it's a saturated fat, there are quite a few health benefits for it. There's nothing that they can, and they actually do go on to say this in the documentary as well, there's nothing that they can definitively prove at this point, but there's enough information to continue on to keep investigating it to see, maybe it's just not black and white and everything is that's bad and this is good, all that stuff. They do have a dietitian on there as well. Just sort of, there's a quick little thing that they do with this group of volunteers that's going to cut fat out of their diet. And they just sort of spread everything out onto a table and just say, okay, what's the fat content of, each of these products? And in general, the majority of people get them right. And I think that a lot of people are probably going to do the same. There are a few things that are going to be surprising from time to time. We know that things like butter and shortening, it's just all fat. So we know where that sits. Salads, we know pretty much where that sits. Homemade stuff, not the little pre-made ready meal things. So there isn't a lot of surprise there, but it's nice to sort of look at it and be able to say, okay, yeah, my estimations are pretty good when it comes to that. They do talk about the healthy fats and the unhealthy fats and what sources we should get stuff from. So it just sort of reiterates what we were talking about a few weeks ago. And that's one of those things that's really nice when you do, try to do something that you finally see something and you go, this sort of not cements it in there, but it justifies what we've been doing. We talked about that before, but just being able to look at it and say, okay, you know what, the information, if we were to compact 4 weeks into an hour and a half, this is a pretty good overall overview. Try not to say over twice. Anyway, it's called The Truth About Fat, and it seems to be sort of in the same series as The Truth About Sugar that we watched a couple of weeks ago. That and it's very well presented. It's there's a lot of information that's in there. It's one thing I will bring up, and I don't know if this is going to happen with you. Depending on when you're watching this, it probably won't. But twice during this, because this is again on YouTube, so there are ads in there. Twice during this, of all places for this to happen, there was a commercial for this. I can't even remember what it's called, Pura something, and it's apparently. It's another weight loss program, right? And smack dab, they showed it 3 times, and it's like a 3 or 4 minute long thing. And this, I'm going to go off topic here just for a second, because stuff like this really pisses me off. And I mean, I understand they don't really have, when you're putting ads on your stuff, you can say, okay, well, I want things focusing on, exercise, or I want things focusing on cars, whatever it is. But this goes on, it's basically, it's an infomercial, is what it is. And this guy's saying, oh, this is the greatest thing you can ever do. You can lose 10 pounds in 10 days. And then goes through exactly how you're going to do it by spending $250 on pills and supplements and everything else, which, as we know now, when you're looking at it, you're going, that's not how it works. You can't just take a pill and go, there we go. This is the pill that's going to speed up your metabolism because it's made from cherries. Nope, it's not quite how it works. So you go through the whole thing and saying, here's what your schedule is every 2 hours, and you have your magic powder that you put into milkshakes, and then you have, you take 5 of these pills and 1 of these pills at this stage, and then 8 of these pills and 3 of these pills at this stage. And you're going through, and we know that this is not how it's going to work, but then they do show, oh, look, all these people, it did work for them. Well, here's the problem. They go through what you can eat during the run of a day, and I understand there's probably some calories in the milkshake thing or whatever powder is that they have, but during the day, in total, the example they gave is during that 24-hour period, you had 3 apples. So, what they're sort of saying is, you can eat just 3 apples a day. You won't lose as much weight as if you spend $250 on all this other bullshit. Well, you know what? If we just ate 3 apples a day, that's 270 calories at most. If they're even big apples and they're 90 calories each. So let's say they're 100 calories. Let's say you get a giant apple. That's 100 calories a day. Yeah, you're going to lose a lot of weight really quickly. And yes, a lot of it's probably going to be fat. So they do go into another thing saying, well, the first thing that your body burns for energy is muscle. No, it fucking doesn't. It never has. It never will. People know this. It burns sugars first, and when it runs out of sugar, then it starts burning fat. You don't burn muscle. You can lose muscle mass by, through muscle atrophy. You can, there are ways that you can sort of shrink down that way, but your body doesn't burn muscle. It's not a fuel source at all. So anyway, there's a lot of misinformation right smack dab in the middle of all this shit. And the funny thing is that right after the advertisement, the next section was a section on exercise, showing how to speed up fat burning in people when you're exercising, by actual scientists. It was good. It was gratifying. Anyway, that's way off topic, but it was one of those things that really pissed me off and stuff like that, because people are buying this and they're going, good, I can spend $250. And the way they get around it, saying, well, it's not really going to cost you this much, is that they give you these little cards that you can give to other people, and every time that they buy it, then you get some of your money back. So if you give out 5 of these cards, you get all your money back for it, so yours is free. So essentially, it's a pyramid scheme. That's all it is. It's like Amway and what was the other one that they used to sell? Anyway, basically here, I'm going to buy this shit, and it's, obviously snake oil. So I'm going to spread it out to 5 other people and have them buy it, and so that you can just keep getting all your money back that way, because it grows and grows and grows, because let's face it, the majority of people, yeah, anyway. Not to get off on a rant, but oh my god, that stuff just really gets to me when you see stuff like this, because people will buy it. They'll look at it and say, oh great, well look, I bought all these stuff and all these things, and this definitely works. Well, you ate 3 apples a day for 10 days. Yeah, you're going to lose a shit ton of weight. Doesn't matter, you could do nothing else and just eat 3 apples. In fact, that would be a nice little thing that you could try. Not actually try. We're trying to get healthy, not trying to prove a point here, but if you were just to sit and do nothing and say, good enough, for 10 days, all I'm going to have 3 apples. So, a Smurf. For those of you that don't, never mind. So, just take 10 days, have 3 apples a day and nothing else. I guarantee you're going to lose weight. You're going to feel like shit. You're going to be very unhealthy. So, I don't recommend it. But when you think of it that way, logically, all the rest of the shit that goes along with it, like the supplements and everything else, it's ridiculous. Actually, in the documentary, they do talk. There's one of the doctors that talks about, in general, we can last a hell of a lot longer, but a normal human being, if they had water and vitamin supplements, as long as they had that, we can go without food for up to 2 months because of the fat stores in our body. I could probably last a hell of a lot longer. I'm looking at probably, I'm going to say 8 months, just as an estimate. Because generally people are around 20-25% fat. I think it has like 22% body fat or something. I can guarantee you I'm in the 50s or 60s for percentage of body fat. So I think that's pretty good. If I can say, 3-4 times longer than other people. But they do sort of go on to show, how fat cells are formed, and there is that little bit about the exercise as well that they show, here's what happens. Here's how much you start burning fat right away. Even just walking, you start burning fat. That's where your energy comes from, is that your body starts burning that up. It's a very small amount. It is a very small amount. Need to put in extra words there. It's a very small amount, but we've seen this where we started doing our exercise. And even if it was something, just sitting and moving your arms, if you're, bedridden, or if you're in a wheelchair, or, whatever it is that you do for your exercise, you don't necessarily have to go on a marathon. But we do know that it is helping because we are seeing progress. And they do show a quick way as well that, it's this, I won't ruin it for you, I won't spoil the surprise. That this way that they were exercising to show that you can continue burning much more efficiently, even for hours afterwards. It's not going to be anything that's going to say, well, if you start exercising this way, then the weight's going to drop right off. It's not. It takes a lot to get fat going, to start burning it. And we know this, but it's one of those things that, yes, it'll give you a bit of a bump if you do it this way. Haven't gotten to that point yet because it's like 20 minutes roughly, where essentially I am going to ruin the ending for you. You just push yourself as hard as you can for 2 minutes, then you stop and you rest for 1 minute. and then go as hard as you can for 2 minutes and rest for 1 minute. And you do that, I think you said 7 times. So 21 minutes in total. And then, actually, no, because if you're then you're just resting for the rest of it. So yeah, so 20 minutes. And apparently what it does is that it just sort of keeps that fat burning going much more efficiently than just doing a regular exercise. Not to that stage yet where I'm just going to, push myself as hard as I can and then stop and then go again and stop. That's a little more advanced, I think, than what we're ready for at this point. We're still working on, just getting going each day. So, or 3 times a week is what you should still be doing. That's one thing we haven't really addressed in a while, is the exercise. I think once we're done the sugar, then, we'll sort of get back into that for a bit, and then we'll start in on the good stuff. Like the good things like fiber, protein, and carbohydrates. There we go. You never remember all 3 right in a row. Anyway, I've gone on far too long with this, but go up, take a look. It's called The Truth About Fat. I know it's sort of out of where it should be. I really wish that we had looked at this 6 weeks ago when we first started doing all the stuff on fat, or even just at the end of when we were doing the fat, just to sort of summarize everything. So throwing this in the middle of all the sugar stuff, it'll give us a bit of a break for all the, torches and pitchforks that sort of go along with that sugar aspect of it. They don't really address, things like low-fat foods or fat-free foods and how they increase the sugar and stuff like that. But they do bring up an important point that no matter what it is, our bodies need everything that we're eating. Our problem is that we need to make sure we have it in balance. We need to have that, everything in moderation sort of thing, because that's when we're going to feel much, much better. We're going to get healthier that way. You can't cut out something entirely. And as they show, even fat, which seems to be one of those things that you're just like, no, we can't have it. Even though we're trying to get rid of it, we still need it. So it's just a nice illustration to show, you can have everything that's out there. You just can't have it all at once like we have been eating. So anyway, I think it was a very good one, and it's one of those things I'm going to sort of throw in here. It's going to throw everything out of whack as to what we've been doing. But it does address an important point, I think, just to sort of put that out there. Anyway, yeah. So we were going to do originally 4 weeks of sugar. So now we're doing 2 weeks of sugar. And then, we still are doing sugar stuff, but we'll throw this in there as well. Because, as per usual, you never can find it when you need it. But anyway, it's out there now. So you can go up, you can take a look. And then we'll have another one probably for next week. I don't want to sort of keep rehashing the sugar stuff, because it's the same sort of thing that we're hearing over and over, going, it's bad, it's bad, it's bad, it's bad. But it's one of those things that, when you first start looking at it, you realize that it's just everywhere. And not to sort of add into the conspiracy theory, but oh my God, it is everywhere. Anyway, I'm going to stop here, because otherwise we'll just keep going and it will add in another one. Save that for next week. But for right now, I'm going to leave this video here. So thank you very much for watching. If you liked it, please poke the like button for me. And in the meantime, keep yourself warm and fuzzy, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.